Hi, my name is Lisa Lee Oswald, and I'm the owner of Clover Yoga. And I'm so excited to be here today to talk to you about yoga and the benefits of yoga and how you can take a yoga practice really anywhere you go. But I always like to start with movement, so why don't you join me? Come onto the edge of your seat so that your feet rest firmly on the floor. And then with me, go ahead and inhale, reach your arms to the ceiling. And exhale, bring your hands back through heart center. Breathe in, reach up. Breathe out, bring your hands down. One more in. And out. Bring your right hand to your left ear. Draw your right ear towards your shoulder. If having your hand here is a lot, you can just let your ear drop towards your shoulder. That sometimes feels a little better. And if you want to add on a little bit, stick your left hand under your left cheek. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, bring your head back up. Left hand to the right side of your head and draw your left ear to your left shoulder. Or simply drop your ear to your shoulder. And if it feels good, bring your right hand underneath your right cheek. It just adds a little extra stretch through the top sides of the shoulders. It gets your scalenes, which are muscles that run up alongside your neck. It gets your traps, which is a big ol' muscle in your back. Inhale, bring your chin to center and drop your chin to your chest. You can add on by interlacing your fingers behind your head. That just adds a little bit of weight to your head and it'll deepen the stretch through your upper back. If that doesn't feel good, rest your hands on your thighs. Your next inhale, lift your chin. Reach your right arm up and overhead. Big side stretch through the right side body. I taught core and sculpt today. I'm feeling this one. So good. Come on through the other side. Just take a few breaths. Inhale, come on up to center. If it feels good, you can do a little twist. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right leg and twist as far as feels comfortable. You're aiming for like a 2 to 3 on a scale of 10. So a little bit of sensation, but you want it to feel good and supportive instead of like maximal effort. Come through center and go the other direction. Inhale, center. We'll just do a little bit in the low body. Cross your right ankle over your left knee so that if you look down, it looks like you're making a figure 4. For lots of folks, because we don't spend a whole lot of time putting our hips into internal or external rotation, and right now the right hip is in external rotation, this might be plenty of sensation for you. If you want a little bit more, you can rest your forearms on your shin and lean forward. The extra weight of your arms on your shin is going to deepen the stretch in your hip, so we're leaning forward. Good. Sit up tall. Place your right foot on the floor. Cross your left ankle. Same thing, just notice how this feels, and if it's enough sensation for you, again, aiming for a 2 to 3, maybe a 4 if that feels good. Stay right where you are. If you want a little bit more, you can add some weight to the top of your shin. Good. All right. Whew. I feel a lot better.
So I have a naturally short torso, so I tend to sit high at my desk. So doing some of those exercises might seem a little bit difficult.
Sure.
So is it different?
I would say come forward further in your chair so that even if your torso and your knees are not quite 90 degrees, you can still plant both feet on the floor.
Okay.
How does that feel?
Better.
Yeah, good.
So just it's okay if I'm not supporting my back.
I would encourage you not to support your back
Okay.
anyway, just because
Okay.
that way you get an opportunity to engage your core a little bit more, which, like, let's be honest, none of us are engaging our core quite as much as is considered good, right? So, yeah, so when you come a little bit forward, you access the natural curves of your spine.
Okay.
So typically when we sit back, the tendency, right, is to like let the curve come out of the lumbar, bring the shoulders forward.
Sure.
I work on a laptop just like everyone else.
Sure.
So when you come a little bit forward, it lets you sit up taller and access the natural curves of your spine. So from here, go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left knee, just like we did before in our figure four. How does that feel in your body?
It feels really good. It feels comfortable. Like I can feel something. It's not like pulling crazy hard.
Good. Yeah. And then if you want to, you can kind of rest your arms and lean forward. How does that feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
I feel it way more.
Good.
So if I were to sit lower
yeah.
than my lower than a 90,
Mm-hmm.
would you suggest raising it?
I would. That might get to be a little bit tough because if you're, so let's just give it a try. Go ahead and
Okay.
drop all the way down.
Ooh. That's probably at a 90 for me, isn't it? Because I'm probably short.
It's close, yes. But okay, so from here, go ahead and cross your, let's do left side this time. That way you get even.
That's a lot of work. Like.
Yeah. So imagine now your hips are a bit lower than your knees. It's automatically going to put more sensation into your
Yes.
hip, into your left hip. Because it's like, I'm just going to get down on the ground because it's
Sure.
easier to show sometimes. So like what we're doing is we're taking this figure four pose and adapting it for seated. So when you're here, you can deepen the sensation through your hip by pulling your legs closer to you. And this is, so now my bent leg, my non-working leg, we'll say, is at not quite 90 degrees, right? We're coming in closer.
Yeah.
And that really intensifies the sensation through my hip. Like it feels like a lot for me here.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas coming back to 90, it feels pretty good. And then if I bring my foot down, now suddenly my hips are higher than my knees, and it's a really gentle sensation through my leg.
So I should be feeling it on this side
Yeah.
and not tension on my foot side.
You might feel a little bit, but most of the sensation will be through your
Okay.
crossed ankle side. Yeah.
Okay.
Ugh.
That's
Always
perfect.
takes a little effort to get up and down.
That's what happens when we age, right?
That's right.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, if I'm sitting on the couch, sometimes depends on which couch I'm sitting on or chair, that I'm either higher or lower.
Yeah.
So depending upon
Yeah.
if I'm watching TV with my kids or.
That's it. And no matter what seat you're in, whether you're on your couch, on your favorite chair, even in the recliner, you can just adapt it to be the same thing, but like recline. So back down on your back, but in your recliner chair,
Sure.
same thing.
So let's just hypothetically, if somebody,
Yeah.
maybe has some trouble sitting with most of their weight on, supported on their pelvis, if they need to sit a little back,
That's
then it's
totally
okay to and like just sit back
Absolutely.
further, so they could sit
Yeah.
like in a chair.
Yes, for sure.
But I think, is it the sitting up straight? Is that part of it? Probably a little bit.
It's a nice way to engage your core in a different way. So it
Okay.
will build strength over time.
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
The same way that doing anything is going to build strength over time. And the nice thing about it is that it's like a really functional strength. It doesn't have to be like Jason Momoa torso.
Sure.
Right? I
Yep.
mean, if that's what you're aiming for, I think that's great.
Perfect.
But if you're aiming for something a little bit more functional, even
Okay.
just a little bit of pulling your back away to engage your core muscles is going to support your back muscles. So people with back pain, especially like mid-back pain.
Mhm.
It's a lot of times the impact of having core muscles that could use a little extra strengthening, or even just the habit of sitting forward, because like it's
On your phone.
on your phone or on your computer, or even in the car, sometimes it's habit to sit really forward, especially if you're driving, or when I'm driving I tend to look like this. And so it just lets the deeper core muscles, your posture muscles, your standing muscles, and really the muscles that engage no matter what we're doing. Like if you want to reach for the top of Pelvis Presley's head, it takes some core muscle to do that.
Sure.
Or you want to lift something up off the floor, yeah, you're going to lift with your legs, but you still need your core muscle to do that. And it doesn't have to always be heavy stuff or big like movements, but just about everything originates from the core when you think about it.
So this is a good way for somebody that's, just maybe beginning to think about a yoga practice or some sort of stretching or just daily awareness of body to just kind of start doing some of that to engage it before there's,
Yeah.
doing your core,
Yeah.
your core class.
Start by sitting up tall.
Okay.
Make your way into the 30-minute core class. Or not. It's not even fun for me sometimes, man. I think something really fun could be to show how you can do things standing or seated. And something that I love to do, because it's great for cardiovascular health, it gets your heart rate up a little bit. It's great for respiratory health because it gets you breathing deep and in tune with your movement, are sun salutations.
Okay.
So what I actually want to do is a half sun salutation. So you're going to do them seated, I'm going to do them standing, and you guys can kind of see how things can be adapted for whatever kind of practice is working for you at this time.
Okay.
So on your inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. So I just want you to touch your toes or reach for your toes. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine, reach the crown of your head forward. Exhale, fold, touch your toes. Inhale, rise all the way up, extended mountain pose. Arms up overhead. Good, keep going. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, extended mountain. One more time. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, bring your hands back down. You can rest them on your lap or at your sides. How does that feel?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That was great. I've done them standing before, but it's neat to do them sitting.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see like a benefit to both.
Yeah. Yeah, so like everybody's practice is different day to day. Some days it is going to feel really good to stand up and do it on your feet or however. Other days it's going to feel a lot better to do it in your chair or do it lying down or just do a few gentle movements with breath. Like it's all yoga. It doesn't have to look any particular way, which is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. You can do one child's pose, or you can lie on purpose on your back with your arms and legs extended, and that's corpse pose or shavasana or final rest is how I talk about it in the studio. That's a yoga pose. Laying down is a yoga pose if you're doing it on purpose. So it can be
That's great.
anything
That's
you
perfect.
want it to be. So
No, it's an easy thing. I think, sometimes in the epilepsy community with seizures, with anything that has to potentially do with muscle or convulsions, that, your body can be really tight for something after that.
Oh,
and maybe
gosh,
for a long
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Or for an extended period of time, maybe that's just kind of your body maybe adapts to that if you have a lot of seizures. So even just doing some basic stretching, I could see supported, right? If they don't want to get dizzy, I could be, if I, didn't drink enough water the day before or whatever it was, that I could see like maybe getting lightheaded, but doing a supported in a chair could be a huge benefit.
Yes, I agree 100%. I love that. Very cool. Yay. Do you want to go try some poses in the studio?
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
let's go.
Okay.
a little bit about building strength, which is great for falls prevention. It's great for improving balance. It's great for actually strengthening the muscle and working the muscle can help the muscle relax and release. So if people are feeling really tight after a seizure or after like a period of stress, like a lot of times actually using the muscle will activate it enough that it can relax. Like it feels like it has a job. And that sounds counterintuitive.
A little.
A little. But it like tires the muscle fibers out. And so then when you're resting, the muscle fibers are like, oh yeah, we are really tired. And then they feel like they can rest too. So a few really fun standing poses that are great for building strength in the big muscle groups. So think about major movers, your glutes, your thigh muscles, your back, and your shoulders. Are like warrior series, so warrior 1, warrior 2, and then everybody's favorite plank, which can be modified and adapted to work for all kinds.
Sounds a little intimidating.
A little intimidating, but it's a good one for building core strength and back strength. And then downward facing dog. And then down dog is also a little bit of an inversion, so it challenges proprioception, which is your brain's ability to process where you are in space and time. But it also keeps both hands and feet firmly on the floor. So you make like an upside down triangle, and it's pretty stable and steady. And it's very strengthening. So let's just start with some warriors.
Let's do it.
Step your right foot forward and your left foot back. And then you want to spin your left foot down so that your whole foot is planted on the floor. Now you can make your warriors as wide and deep as you want to. If you want to, you can slide out so that you are in a deep 90-degree bend in your front knee. I actually hate that right now. So I'm gonna take my warrior in just a little bit. And so I'm not quite in a 90-degree, but I can still feel like my back leg muscles are really engaged, my front leg muscles are really engaged. And then for warrior 1, go ahead and reach your arms up overhead.
Straight?
Yeah. Or as straight as you want to go. My arms really don't straighten out very easily. So I just don't always straighten them. But what we're working on when we lift the arms are the muscles in the shoulders and upper back. And then it also can cause a little rib flare. So like your ribs could stick out. So then what you want to do is think about pulling your low ribs in. And the way you do that is you pull your belly button to your spine. So this is warrior 1. Take a big full breath in. Now as you breathe out, come into warrior 2. Open your chest out to the side. Reach your right hand forward and your left hand back. You're going to look at your right middle finger. And then to engage your outer hip and your glute, pull your right knee towards your right pinky toe. How's that feel?
It feels good.
Good. Flip your front palm. Inhale, reach your right arm up and over your head. This is reverse warrior. You can rest your left hand down your leg, or if you want a little extra, so left hand on the leg is really supportive. If you want a little extra core work, you can reach your left hand around your back.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Take a big breath in and breath out. Inhale, come on back up. Let's do the other side, because now I feel uneven. Step your left foot to meet your right, and your right foot back. Reach up, warrior 1, left side. Good.
I like this.
Yes.
It's very comfortable.
Yeah, so, and again, you can make it as intense as you want to. There's, like, always layers you can add.
I feel like I might get a little stuck if I go too far.
Breathe in. Breathe out, warrior 2. Look at your left middle finger and think about squaring your hips and your shoulders to, if we had a mat, it would be the long edge of the yoga mat, right?
I think, yep. Okay, so they gotta be in line, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're like if your shoulders are way far forward or way far back, think about kind of coming into balance in the middle, right?
Okay.
Inhale, flip your left palm, reach up and over, reverse warrior. You can rest your right hand on your leg or reach around your back.
That was pretty hard, but fun.
It definitely adds some challenge. Breathe in. Breathe out. Go ahead and come on back. And then on an inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. So here we're coming back to kind of our sun salutation movement, right?
Bend your knees or keep them straight.
You can have a really generous bend in your knees. Okay. Inhale, halfway lift. Now as you exhale, place your hands to the floor and step back for a high plank. You can place your knees down that way. It's just a little bit less weight for your upper body to hold.
Oh, sure.
If
Kind
you're
of like a push-up?
Yeah. If you're feeling super strong today, you can lift your knees up off the floor. And that is going to fire up your core even more. So
Super
you can kind of pick, yeah, and you can.
Is it to keep your back straight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one long line in your spine from the crown of your head to whatever's touching the floor. So if that's your toes or if that's your knees, that's what you're aiming for. And then take one more breath in. And as you exhale, just send your hips to the ceiling for down dog. You might discover that it's a little more comfortable to walk your feet into your hands just a bit. And then rest your head, let your head be really heavy. Take a few breaths. And then in this pose in particular, if your elbows are locked, bend them a little bit. That's going to help engage your muscles. It's also going to keep your wrists from getting sore. Take one more breath in. Breath out, come on down to tabletop. And then we'll take child's pose. Take your big toes together and your knees nice and wide. You want lots of room for your belly. Rest your seat on your heels and walk your hands forward. Rest your forehead down. Now if your forehead doesn't reach the floor, because sometimes it doesn't, cross your arms and rest your forehead on your arms. And breathe. This is like everybody's favorite. Well, no. This is everybody's second favorite.
What's
everybody's favorite is Shavasana. Final rest. Which we can make our way there. Inhale, come to tabletop. So just stack your hips over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists.
Okay.
And then bring your legs through your hands in whatever way feels good. And roll on down to your back. This is it. This is the pose
nice.
that everybody waits for. And you can make a whole practice of this pose if you're doing it on purpose.
I definitely feel more relaxed, like through my whole body.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my hips and my shoulders. That normally my shoulders don't touch the ground when I lay down on my back.
Oh, wow.
I tend to carry my stress there.
Yeah. So some other ways you can kind of tire your shoulders out are more planks, more down dogs, but also holding your arms up overhead takes a whole lot of shoulder strength. Like it works your shoulders more than you think.
Yeah.
Just to hold your arms up.
So the sun salutation that we were
sun
doing in the beginning.
salutations,
Okay.
yeah. I don't really want to get up, but I suppose we should. 'Cause there's more information to deliver.
So Lisa, how long have you been practicing yoga?
I've been practicing since 2015. I think my very first class was January 3rd of 2015. It was like sort of a New Year's resolution. And I've been teaching since 2016. So I took my teacher training in the summer of 2016. And my very first scheduled class was actually the day after the 2016 election. I will never forget it.
That's so cool. And I can say I've been to one of your some of your classes, and I love them. I think no matter what capacity you're in or how much you've known or practiced, everybody feels welcome. And it was so
Thank
nice
you.
and so calming and just, yeah, and very much so. It's a very wonderful space. And
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's actually something I'm really passionate about is creating a space where there is accessibility and there is like we're not so worried about it looking like it on Instagram. You know, those are real pretty pictures, but that's not necessarily
Real life.
what you have to aim for in your yoga practice. And
Yeah.
so something that I think a lot about, and I teach 3 basics classes a week. It's like my favorite class to teach because I do get so many new faces in them. Something I think about is building layers into the practice.
Sure.
So taking your practice to a chair is like one layer. Taking it to standing is another layer. And you can add in extra stuff. Like if you want to do extra push-ups, that's a layer you can add. If you don't want to do any push-ups, you can take that layer out.
Sure.
And yoga is so adaptable, is what I've really discovered over the years. So your practice can be anything you need it to be or want it to be on any given day of the week. I know some days in my body, I'm like ready to sweat, I'm ready to be sore the next day, I'm ready to do the most. And other days, I'm just really not. And yoga's big enough for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And I know we did yoga at our adult retreat and such amazing feedback. Everybody loved it. So they already have asked to bring you back to, have you come every year.
Absolutely. But I want to come in the afternoon so I can stay for the dance party.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was really nice to see because I think everybody has a lot of people, there were several new to yoga and then several that have been practicing. It was kind of nice to see everybody helping each other too. Yeah. And you were able to walk around and help and do everything. So it was great.
Good.
It was very, very nice.
It was really fun to be there.
Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course. And thank you to Alicia, of course, because she obviously set all that up.
So. Alicia's awesome.
She is.
So yoga is designed to be a practice that encompasses physical well-being, mental health, emotional well-being. One of my favorite quotes is from BKS Iyengar, and he is one of the fathers of modern yoga, you could say.
Okay.
Actually, this is a little tangent, but it's super relevant. He wanted to study yoga with the master that was in his town, but he kept being turned away because he had been a sickly child. His body didn't do all of the things that were supposed to be done in order to practice and teach yoga. And so Iyengar actually really pioneered the use of props in the yoga practice. So when we do talk about incorporating a chair into the practice or using blocks to lift the floor up to your hands or straps to make your arms longer, that's all Iyengar. And that's because he had to make the practice work for his body, which I think is super fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he has a quote, and it's, the practice of yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, to the self. So it's really a practice of self-discovery. And the poses,
No, absolutely. I can feel, and you can feel like you're very self-aware of what your body is doing, and it gives you the chance to actually focus on that. Because I know I go about my day and I don't really worry about what my back is doing or what my muscles are doing, but just to breathe into that focus is reassuring. It's comforting.
Yes.
Very much so. And maybe is that normal? Do people often say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, people say that.
Good.
I've experienced that myself. I actually used to be super clumsy. I would bump my head on stuff all the time. In the house I grew up in, I hit my head on this shelf of cupboards all the time. I lived there for 20 years. And I would do it, or I'd bump into tables and stuff. That doesn't really happen for me anymore since I've started practicing yoga, because my level of body awareness is much higher now. But additionally, yoga gives you time to sort of separate from your everyday life. You're coming to a space or you're setting a space, and it's permission to look inward at what's your thought process like. What's your mental script?
Sure.
I have spent more years than I care to really admit talking so mean to myself and not even realizing it until all of a sudden, I was in my yoga practice and I was aware of the thought of why are you doing it this way? Why is this so hard for you? And recognizing like, oh man, I don't need to talk to myself that way. It's not accomplishing anything. It's not helpful. It's not benefiting anybody.
Yeah.
Least of all myself. And then also getting to know my emotions. So when I would be on my mat and I'd have an emotion come up, it was like a space for me to be able to like notice what the emotion is, notice the physical sensations of the emotion. So like, for example, anger sometimes feels like tightness in my chest, or my heart beats really fast, or my face gets really hot. And connecting those dots, I know it sounds like, we should naturally be able to do that because we live our whole lives having emotions. But for a lot of people, they don't know what they're feeling all the time. Or in my case, I didn't want to always admit what I was feeling because I got the idea that some emotions are bad. And I shouldn't feel sad or angry because my life is so great. What do I have to be sad or angry about? And so when I started to notice what those emotions were, not only was I able to like feel them and move them quicker, I didn't get stuck in it, but I also noticed that emotions I really wanted to feel, like hope and joy and love and peace, like suddenly became so much deeper and richer because I was allowing myself the full experience of my emotional life where I wasn't before. And yoga is it's really about that. It's about getting to know yourself. The Sanskrit word for it is svadhyaya, self-study. It's a really fun word to say.
I love that word.
Svadhyaya.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say it again.
Yes, you can. Svadhyaya.
Svadhyaya. Yeah.
I
love it.
Svadhyaya. And it's Sanskrit, and it translates to self-study. And so, you get to know your body, but you get to know your whole person. And then that leads to improved mental health, improved relationships, physiological changes like lower resting heart rate, lower respiratory rate, deeper breaths, reduced anxiety, reduced depression, more feeling of efficacy in your life. So you have a better sense of like, I want to do that and I can do that. It like improves self-belief and
I love that.
It's
that everybody's roadmap is different, but there's always it's to success no matter where, for who it is. Yeah. And I know and people we work with every day, where you sometimes lose sight of that. I think everybody does in this day and age.
It's really easy to get stuck or to get trapped, or I think they call it doom scrolling.
Oh, sure.
How often have I spent on my phone?
We were talking about that in a different session about that too. But so as far as yoga, I think there's stigma in I think almost everything, and especially in the epilepsy world. But I also think in yoga too a little bit, where you think that yoga is just about stretching and breathing.
Yeah.
And that's all it is like an exercise thing, but it really isn't. So thank you very much for sharing what really the practice is about and what it is for you, and for everybody probably gets something different out of it.
For sure.
But then being able to share that with, your yoga family, I guess I could say, because it is, I know there's different people that do yoga and everybody kind of shares their story and kind of. So Lisa, one last question before we wrap up. Is what are some top maybe 3 to 5 things that somebody could do if they wanted to start in a yoga practice? What would you suggest?
What would I suggest? Gosh, that's hard to narrow down. First and foremost, find somebody that you connect with, that you feel good about going to their class. It does not have to be in studio. It can be YouTube. There's like 18 million kajillion yoga teachers on YouTube, you know what I mean? But if you are comfortable coming to a studio, sometimes that just adds a little extra like break from the day, and it's easier to focus. And if not, there are 1,000,001 free resources or low-cost resources that you don't even have to leave your house for.
Okay.
I know that's a huge barrier for a lot of people. It is being in a space and feeling like people are looking and watching their practice.
Of course.
I love that you can just do it at home. Probably comfortable clothes. It doesn't have to be any particular style of clothes, but anything you feel comfortable in and that lets you move. So athletic shorts, yoga pants, sweat shorts, whatever. It's all good. T-shirt, tank top, sweatshirt, whatever. Comfortable. And just a willingness to probably be a little uncomfortable sometimes. Willingness to learn and willingness to pay attention to your own experience on the mat. It sounds like the easiest one, but that's definitely the hardest one because nobody likes to really be uncomfortable.
Sure.
But if you can just be okay with it for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour at a time, there's so much on the other side that's just waiting.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I can say personal experience. I know I was very nervous to come into the studio for the first time, and you know, I had this thought of like, oh, I don't want to embarrass myself, or I don't want to, but it is to be in a room full of other people who really aren't really watching you at all. They're worried about what they're doing, and I know, and this is obviously speaking very to you, is that, you know, the calming voice and reassurance and helping that if you try to move this way just a little bit more, just a little bit of guidance goes a really long way. But it also it just makes it that much more pleasing and just accepting that, okay, I don't have to be perfect, but I just need to be me.
Yes.
So
yes, that's it. And a realization I had one time in a class. I had my hair in like 2 braids or something, and it was really dirty. Like I hadn't washed it in like a week, and I was using those little like clear plastic hair ties, you know. Yep. One of them broke, and I knew if I took the other one out, it was also gonna break. And so one half of my hair was just like dirty, but also frizzy, and I couldn't do anything about it, and I was really panicking. I was like, oh my God, everyone's gonna be looking at my hair. I look so stupid. And then I don't like the universe or God or, you know, my guardian angel or someone just like put the thought in my head, everybody else is just as worried about how they look, so much so they don't care at all how you look. And it was like, oh yeah, everybody's so worried about their own selves. Like, I'm not any different from anyone else. Yeah, we're all having the same experience.
Absolutely.
So no matter where you are in the studio or in your home, you know, anybody can see you, but nobody's really paying attention because
absolutely
they're all worried about themselves anyway. So
perfect. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, can they reach out, even if it's to us, to you? And if anybody's questions or wants to, do you have a website? Do you have some things that we could contact you?
Absolutely. So our website is ploveryoga.com. Okay. We actually have a huge video on demand library on our website. So if you want to practice at home and you like on your schedule, that's a great way to do it. Okay. We upload 16 classes a week to our video library. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. And then we're on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Plover Yoga. And my email, you can just email me directly if you want to, is lisa@ploveryoga.com.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting us come into your beautiful studio.
I'm so glad you guys came. I'm so excited.
Us too.